Hey guys, today we're gonna have a lot of fun talking about Eversion by Alastair Reynolds. Is it good? Is it worth reading? Do I recommend it? Should you pick it up? You're gonna find all of that out. But first, let me mention that this happens to be the second Alastair Reynolds book that I've ever read. The first one being the incredible and mind-bending House of Sons. What an epic story. But that's for another day. First, let's talk about Eversion. Let's talk about the premise of the book. Quick disclaimer, this book is very difficult to meaningfully talk about without stumbling into some spoilers, right? So you've been warned. Here's the premise of the book though. In the 1800s, a sailing ship crashes off the coast of Norway. In the 1900s, a Zeppelin explores an icy canyon in Antarctica. In the far future, a spaceship sets out for an alien artifact. Each excursion goes horribly wrong, and on every journey, Dr. Silas Code is the physician. But only Silas seems to realize that these events keep repeating themselves. It's up to him to figure out why and how to stop it all from happening again. So that's the basic premise of the book, and it really starts off strongly. I love the first part of the book with Dr. Silas, the attending physician on an 18th century sail ship in very difficult environment, performing brain surgery. Fascinating. There's a love interest possible developing with Milady, reminding me kind of Milady in the Three Musketeers. So one of my favorite characters. Anyway, the first part of the book was incredible as they're sailing in Antarctic with ice, trying to swallow them. Really visually powerful stuff. I love that part. It was also well written. The language of that period was well presented. The characters were well developed. But then something happens kind of abruptly, and it ends. And then it starts again, right? But now we're on a steamship, maybe 100 years later. And the story seems to be the same, but yet a little different. The characters, the main protagonists, are the same, but they're maybe slightly different. The story progresses. It goes maybe a step further than it did at first, but then something happens and it ends again. And then we're thrown back in as if it's some kind of an incredible dream, perhaps a nightmare. Now we're on a Zeppelin. Very unusual way of traveling, very visually interesting too. I love that part, reading about just being on an airship of that type. Again, same people, similar story. They're looking for something that seems to be alien perhaps, right? Story progresses until we get to a point where we're now in space. We're no longer on Earth. We're in space exploring this artifact. I don't want to go any further to avoid spoilers. I will say that the story has a resolution that is very satisfying. There is a little bit of a 180 where you kind of feel like the world shifts. It's done well. You're kind of expecting it almost at that point, or at least I was, but it's still satisfying when you realize what is actually going on and the emotional turmoil of the character or characters as they realize what is actually happening here. An interesting story. The very end, I didn't necessarily love. I actually felt like the story was better on a ship than it was on a spaceship, right? It was better in the nautical adventure than it was in the space, which was very unusual considering how much I love the House of Sons. But this was a good book. It's, I think, a great book also for someone who's just kind of beginning with science fiction because it's an easy introduction to the genre. It does have very interesting concept. It actually has really good characters. I like Milady. There was a lot of funny stuff. Ramos, the banter between him and Dr. Silas Code was incredible. So it's a really good book. It's a strong book. It's a fun book to read. Not super long. I think I can definitely recommend it to just about anyone. There isn't any heaviness to it. It seems light. It will spark more interest in science fiction, but I think, like I said, it's a good, easy kind of way to ease yourself into the genre. So I do recommend it. I would give this a solid 8 out of 10 for Eversion by Alastair Reynolds. Good job, Mr. Reynolds. Bit of housekeeping, I almost forgot. If you like the videos, definitely, I'm gonna ask you for a thumbs up. It really helps the algorithm. It helps other people to find my video. If you like the content, I'm gonna be shooting a lot more videos. I'm reading a ton. Check out my channel. Please subscribe. That would mean a lot to me. And if you have read the book already, please leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts. Do you agree with me? Did you enjoy the book? Was it good? Were you disappointed? Let's talk about it, and I'll see you on the next video.